Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, and today we're bringing you another Bedlam at the Berg practice game. Me and Sam have been competing and playing at the highest level for a very, very long time, so this is a chance for us to really pick one mission that we don't play as often, as much as we could.
And we're both bad at.
Because I never want to measure it. I mean, that's really the truth of it. I never want to measure this mission. But before we get into all that, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Turn on the bell for notifications so you can get notified on more videos such as this one and other 40K related content and faction-focused videos. Like, share, and comment down below. Your comments help me decide on different other content and videos to make for the channel. Now, before we go off on a tangent about what our armies are doing and what we're trying to do into this, let's actually tell people what we're bringing today. Okay. So, Sam, let's talk about your Space Wolf.
I am playing a Space Wolf successor chapter, even though they don't exist. I'm playing Hungry for Battle and Whirlwind of Rage, which means I have +1 to advance and charge rolls and exploding sixes.
Now, what do you mean they don't exist?
Well, you know, all of the lore leading up says Space Wolves can't have successor chapters, but we hit 9th edition and shucks, all of a sudden we got them. They could have just said different great companies and I'd have been fine.
Sorry, just wanted to hear that.
So I am running with +1 to advance and charge. I have exploding sixes in melee. And then it stacks with my chapter's doctrine of Savage Fury, which is exploding sixes in combat. So like you have Tesla, I have Tesla Thunderhammers. All right. My Warlord is my captain on bike. He has a Combi Melta and a Thunderhammer. He's wearing the Armor of Rust, and he has Saga of the Hunter. I then have a Librarian with a Jetpack and a Force Axe with a Combi Melta. He has the Armor Indomitus. I have a Chaplain in Jetpack. You're noticing a theme here. He has a Combi Melta and his Crozius, just like normal. Then we get into my troops. I have 2 units of Infiltrators because demons exist. And then I go on to my elites. I have a 10-pack of Scouts. 5 Scouts all have combat knives and bolt pistols. The other 5 are very shooty. There's a Melta gun, a Combi Melta, a plasma pistol, 2 bolt guns, and a Thunderhammer in that half. They'll be going into 2 Land Speeder Storms. Then I have 2 identical units of Wolfguard Terminators. They're all Chain Fist, Combi Melta, and one guy in the squad has an oversized rocket launcher on his head. Then I have 2 units of Wolfen, the hardest working melee unit in 40K. All hammers and shields, except the claw that you have to take because why wouldn't you? Then I have 2 more. I have a unit of Wolfguard with power axes and Combi Meltas with jump packs. I have a unit of company veterans that are going Lightning Claw Chainsword because it was funny. Then I go on to my fast attacks. I have 3 units of Skyclaws, my literal favorite unit in the entirety of 40K, because they are the problem children. They are Blood Claws with jetpacks, and each squad is rocking a Wolfguard pack leader in there who has a Thunderhammer Combi Melta. Then I'm allowed to take 2 Melta guns. Then the Sergeant has a Power Fist Melta gun, and then 2 ablative bolt pistols. And after that, I just go on to heavy supports. I have 1 unit of Longfangs. The Sergeant has a Power Fist and a Plasma gun. All of the Devastators in there obviously have the Grav. And then Space Wolf specific, I have a Wolfguard pack leader in Terminator armor with a Cyclone missile launcher, a Thunderhammer, and a Storm Shield. And that rounds out the rest of my list.
All right, today we're bringing my Novak Dynasty that I lovingly call the Canoptek Harvest. In this list, I will be having the command protocol Hungry Void in effect for the entire game, which means that my army with its Dynasty traits will get +1 to the charge. When I charge, get charged, or Heroic Intervention, I will get +1 AP, +1 Strength, and 6s in combat are an addition to wound or an additional AP. Now going over to the list. First, we'll start with my fast attack, which is my compulsory choice. I have 2 9-man squads of Scarabs. These are one of my favorite units from this entire edition. I've pretty much run them in every single list for 2 years straight now. Additionally, I will have 2 squads of Wraiths. One is a 5-man with Claws, as well as a 4-man with Whip Coils. Over into my elites, I have a 3-man squad of Canoptek Spiders. These guys have particle beams on them, so they're going to be 12 shots apiece, 36 shots for the squad. and a pretty good combat profile. One of them has a gloom prism, so I can try deny the witch. And then my last of my elites, as I like to call them, the tag team champions of the world, the Nightbringer and the Void Dragon. Having the heroic support stratagem that allows me to take 2 Catans in a single list is really, really compelling. As before, it was very costly to try and get 2 in there. And so far, it's been working really well. It seems like 2 Ctans are just a little too much to handle for most lists that don't have a 3rd phase they can do damage. On to my HQs. So I have 4 in this slot. First is going to be 2 Chronomancers. These guys give out a 5-up invuln as well as a reroll failed charge. And that's going to be going on to my Scarabs and my Warriors to be talked about later. Then you have a Overlord with a Resurrection Orb. He's just tougher than a Lord, and I had the points, and he gets an invuln, where a Lord doesn't. He also has the Pharaon ability, so he's able to dish out 2 My Will Be Dones. Lastly is the Technomancer, who's basically the true warlord of my army. He has the failsafe overcharge to give a canoptek unit +1 attack or a monstrous unit plus D3, as well as the Veil. He has Thrall of the Silent King, so he'll get a boost to his aura ranges, and a canoptek control node for an aura that gives +1 to hit to all canoptek units. Lastly, I have 1 19-man squad of Necron warriors with Go's Reapers. Mostly because I want them to move. I might be advancing with them, and I want them still to be able to shoot. It's a very solid 2-shot assault gun, strength 5, AP 2, and I wanted them to stay functioning. That is the canoptek list I'll be bringing today. Sam, what mission are we playing?
We are going to be playing Data Scry Salvage. It is a 6-objective mission played on Vanguard table setup. It is a hold 2, hold 3, and there is a special action for the tertiary where you do data intercept. You do it on an objective, and you get a point for every objective you are holding in no man's land at the end of your turn.
All right. So there's one thing that you said in there, too, that I want to let people know. You said describe the mission as a Vanguard deployment.
Yes.
Me and Sam have been playing for many, many years. In the previous editions, that was the way this Kangles were, except the deployment zones were much harder to measure out there. God. There was such weird angles.
22.5 by get the square root of pi.
If I go into this corner right here, I got a 12-inch charge over there, so you don't. It was bad.
I was not really unhappy when they made the table smaller
and a lot easier to measure with some of this. So going into this matchup, this is something that me and Sam have talked about a lot of ways going through this. And first, we'll go through some of our secondaries and I'll kind of make a lot of talking points in here. So Sam, what secondaries are you doing today?
I'm going to take Oath of the Moment, even though there is no objective in the center because I'm stupid. I am going to take Engage on all fronts because I have to be everywhere, or you win.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
and it's a counterplay into Purge the Vermin. Now, also one thing I want to say about Oath of the Moments, though, in this scenario is, yes, you're right. There's no objective in the center, meaning that there's no reason for me to be bothering you at the center.
This is true, but it also could, because I know you're a man that loves his wrestling, be a Royal Rumble right there.
Yeah, I love my wrestling, but my Necrons, they might not want to be wrestling in the middle of that one. So
my third one is going to be Raise the Banners High, because on a 6-objective mission, I think I can get 3 and keep them away from you.
Right. If I didn't have, and we'll go into my secondaries, Ancient Machineries, which I completed, it's worth 4 points. So even if I can't fully invest and get every objective marker, the amount of points that I get off that each time it procs is great for my army. I'm going to be doing Purge the Vermin because it comes down to one thing. If you cover the whole field, I lose the game. If I can prevent you from covering the field, then I win the game.
I'm probably losing the game if you prevent that too.
Exactly. So it comes into one of those things of it's like, it almost is going to look like a win more scenario, and where there's going to be a point where if you look at our scores, the game will be very, very, very close, and then Purge the Vermin or Engage on all fronts is going to open up a larger lead because of how our armies play.
And I explained to DJ before that I struggle on this mission because I want to push, and then somebody will sneak something back behind, and now all of a sudden I'm only getting a 4 because I'm only holding 2 objectives.
No, it is sticky objectives in this mission.
It is, but you're Necrons and you're tricky.
I only have 1 objective secured unit in my entire army.
Ha! I have 2. I outnumber you.
But then my last secondary that I'm going to be taking for this is going to be No Prisoners. Now, in order to score No Prisoners, I'd have to table you. While you're pushing at me, and that means I get the opportunity to kill a lot of things, tabling you is doubtful. However, what else am I going to score points on from that point once I've taken Purge the Vermin and Battlefield Supremacy, and I've taken Ancient Machineries, which is where banners would sit? I'm not going to take Abort the Witch. That's a waste.
I have one Psyker. You can.
Have one.
All you
I'm
want.
not going to take. So when you look through the rest of it, it turns into a point. That's the best. That's the most I can
Especially
score
against the Marine armies. Like, I'm playing a clown car list. There's just unit after unit after unit.
I'm just glad you don't reduce damage by 1, because I do have those weapons and guns in my army that are built to be the bam, I do 2, bam, I do 2.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure in 10th edition, because they love my army more than yours, I'll get that rule.
Yeah, no, I'm going to lose Resurrection or something like that. But, sir, let's get this game started.
Right.
As you know, table's pretty even as goes. So it's a matter of who deploys first. Right. Odd or even, sir?
Even. Haha.
And that's an even? I assume you want me to deploy first?
No, actually. I want to deploy first.
You want to deploy first?
I do.
All right, man. Well, will get these armies deployed, and then it's time to play the game.
Time to play the game.
And we are deployed. So starting off the Necrons, I castled up. Don't want to give away anything to some of the Melt of Fire or the Cyclone missiles early. Granted, there might be some lanes you can pick up. You can't hide everything, but I'd rather minimize that and also make it the maximum amount of movement he's got to bring people out so that I'm able to then answer them in kind. The C'tans are out over here to kind of play some threat on objectives 2 and 4 and be able to move across the field. Well, granted, he can shoot at me. That's only one phase he's going to really be able to do damage to me. And if he does push and try and charge me and everything, well, we can clear that out of there. So that's a safe play for me. That's a safe play and a safe start, especially with units that have phase capping. Let's go over to Sam, talk to him about what he's got going on over here. Sam, talk to me about your deployment.
This is Fort Necron Killer. Everybody goes inside the building or back behind the obscuring because my army is almost as fast as Eldar. Except for this one unit over here who seems to think that they're big enough and bad enough to go over there. But that's because Fabricator's Forge is playing a different style of table. These are actually considered light cover, while those over there are considered dense.
Okay, so basically the one, if you notice, we have these like generators on them, so that's dense.
And then, of course, I always put my forward unit of infiltrators because it's funny.
Yep, and it does. It helps zone out. All right, well... So in this situation, what would you say? Are you looking more to go first? Or
I always want to go second in every game I play.
Gotcha. I wouldn't mind going first because it would give me a turn faster to be able to get to Purge the Vermin scoring time. So I wouldn't mind going first in this setup in this game.
I hope you do.
All right. And too bad you can't choose. 5, 4. All right. Well, it looks like I get my Christmas miracle, and Necrons are going to get to go first. All right, so we got the movement phase underway. The Scarabs right here jumped up, and they're going to try and charge the infiltrators hiding back here between the walls. Looking at a 6. They're 6. Well, I'm sorry. They're looking at a 5-inch charge because they need a 6. And with Novak, I'll get +1 to my charge.
Oh, that's right, because we thought it was 7, but then you found a guy under the building.
Yeah, I found a guy under the wall and went, oh, hey, he can move a lot further than that. I did pop my Veil early because I want to start getting some Ancient Machinery points. And I got this nice little flying V formation going on here. We'll see if that helps me out with some guys in cover, as well as a nice little wall to try and protect with some of the charges to just keep the guys a little bit further away when they inevitably charge me. Both the blue chips represent the 5-up invulns, which are on the Scarabs, as well as the Necron Warriors, and the green chips are my will be done's. Wow, that's tough to say. And then the C'tan move up to get into a more forward position to start taking on this flank. For the C'tan powers, I did Sky of Falling Stars and Voltaic Storm, and was able to pick up a Terminator and leave 2 wounds. And then inside this building, I'll scan around over here, we have Wolfen and Skyclaws, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And we lost the Sergeant on the Wolfen, and the Skyclaws sustained a single wound on an ablative bolt pistol.
Yep. So now we're going to go into the shooting phase. Okay, that was fun. And we're going to just go into charges. We'll be back after this resolves. So Scarabs were very valiant, but unfortunately unsuccessful. They lost 1 in return and have a guy down to 1 wound. So yeah, it was worth a stab using a small Scarab unit to try to pick on.
Your dice looked like ice cubes, and mine melted through the table and went somewhere to China.
Oh, yeah. So we'll finish out the turn. I will get 1 point on the mission primary, the second primary, or whatever you want to call it. Tertiary, because I do hold this one, but I don't hold either of these objectives because I'm not objective secured, and these guys are. So I will get 1 point at least. I will also get 4 for Ancient Machineries because that will complete. I do not score Purge the Vermin, and I have not gotten enough for a single point on the No Prisoners just yet. So we're going to be moving over to Sam, and it's going to be his movement phase in the bottom of 1. All right, Mr. Dayton from Vermilion, currently in Cleveland. What do we got? What do we got going on here?
Well, we saw that there were a bunch of Xenos filth out there, so we thought we'll go show them what a chainsword is. So this unit, using Bestial Rage, was put into the Assault Doctrine during the command phase. Then I did some movement. My Sky Claws moved here in order to engage the Wraiths so I can clean them off and hold Scarabs. My apologies.
I wish I had Wraiths up there already. Oh, man.
I actually used my land speeder here that, if you look, has the Emperor's Goodest boy sitting in the back seat. And my scouts, using the assault vehicle, got out within 3 and moved 6 to snag this objective.
Alrighty.
So now I'm going to do some shooting and hopefully make Necrons cry.
All right. All right, so we finish up the Space Wolf shooting phase, and the mass volume from the Long Fangs, the scouts inside of this specific transport, a lot of Meltas and everything else were able to take down the 20-man warrior squad. There's one phase where I had 15 reanimations and flubbed it and only got 5. I needed way, way more. And I mean, I was putting up the defenses. I just needed more off that reanimation.
But I'm using all my Cyclone missile launchers with the blast, which was what
that was huge too, because as we discussed, the blast gave him maximum shots when he was shooting at those guys. So now we're going to go into the charge phase and see where Sam wants to take this game. All right, so taking a quick moment to talk about the what happened in the charge phase. So the Skyclaws made it in, and I spent a command point to heroic the Scarabs into combat.
Foolishly.
Right here is where the wall is, so they're moving up to the wall to give me some extra damage in here, and we'll see if that plays out. Sam, which combat are you going to do first?
You are down to what command points?
I have 2 left. Just enough to
I
interrupt.
will start here so that I can ensure that I kill your character and tag the other.
Okay, and then I will end up spending 2 command points to interrupt over here when we get to that point.
Absolutely.
All right, so finishing up the assault phase, right over here, these Skyclaws, they did some damage. They hit. They dropped the Scarabs down a little bit more, but the Scarabs at 5 up kept them around. So we still got 4 left here, and they were able to do a little damage in kind, but they were definitely losing that battle of attrition. And over here, the Skyclaws did pick up that Technomancer, as well as doing some damage to the Scarabs. There's 5 remaining. There's 1 back in the building. So Sam, why don't you talk me through some of your scoring? Okay.
For data intercept, I have control of 3 objectives. My company veterans sat back here and did the action because that is their job.
Mm-hmm.
For Oaths of the Moment, I killed a character, monster, or vehicle. I have a unit wholly within 6 of the center, and I didn't fall back from combat because that's not the Space Wolf way. After that, I put up 1 banner with the scouts over there. But I won't score that for turn 1. And engage on all fronts. I am in all 4 table corners.
Yeah. Because now you only have to be 3 inches from center when you
3 inches from center.
We need to double check those Skyclaws. I think the Skyclaws might be there, but we'll double check that real quick. And either way, we will get it documented on the score sheet. We'll let you know. All right, wrapping up the Necron movement phase. We're on +1 move, so the Wraiths came rushing out, and they're going to try and see if they can't clear these objectives and see if they can't do a little bit of a better job than the Scarabs did. They're a little more well-suited for this occasion. We're positioning here to have some fancy work. So, because the Skyclaws are so close, I'm going to be able to charge them and get in engagement range with a couple of units without leaving the building. So the Spiders are going to charge forward, and I'm going to be able to get all of them, and the Wraiths will be as well. As right now, they just need a 1 inch on their +1 charge. But more on that later. Over here, the Scarabs did fall back and went over towards this building where there's a Chronomancer hanging out. And as far as the C'tans and their powers, well, the Nightbringer, he knows what to do. He did his job, and he removed the scouts wholeheartedly by smacking them with a meteor right on the head.
They literally thought you couldn't see them in those camo cloaks.
Yeah, and then they're like, let's just drop a giant rock. We'll hit something. And he did all right. Now the Void Dragon, on the other hand, he failed. He rolled 2 6s in a row for Sky Falling Stars to fail. Then the one unit that had less guys, he rolls a 5 and he fails. And then he goes for Voltaic Storm to try and hit the speeder. And guess what? The theme continues true. He fails.
I'm telling you, he's just bummed all his warrior buddies are gone.
Yeah, it must be. So now we're going to go on to the Necron shooting phase, which literally I have one gun, and then we're going to charge. And let's continue this reign of terror.
Yeah, come on, whip
it. He's going to go ahead and toss his spear at, what do you think? Probably the Terminators are my best choice, since you got Meltas all over, so it don't really matter.
34 shots of Melta per turn.
Let's go ahead and just try and take out a Terminator with this. So we need a 2 to hit. That's a 4. And a 3 to wound. That's a 6. So you're taking one at very high AP, so you're probably on your invuln.
5 up
I think it's
invuln.
AP 4.
No.
Gets through for only 2 damage.
That is just enough
Just
to
enough to kill him. All right.
Greg, who was already wounded.
So there you go. You shook off the rust. You killed a guy. Now we're going to go into some charges, and we'll be back after the charge step. All right, so we successfully made all the charges that were basically impossible to fail. Wraiths made it in over here. And then, as I stated, these guys charged up forward. So we're going to get 3 Wraiths and all 3 fighters in on these guys. And downwind, the Void Dragon did make his charge. He did eat a missile during the overwatch.
However, as with all D6 damage weapons, it rolled a 1.
Yes. And the Nightbringer failed to make it around the corner, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. So we're going to go into our fight phase. All right, so finishing off the Necron turn, the Wraiths were able to finish off the Skyclaws with a failed leadership to get me some points on no prisoners.
I only had to lose 5 guys for that to happen.
The Void Dragon continues down his streak of he's not with it today.
He killed a single Terminator who only had 2 wounds left.
And first of all, he got only 2 wounds through after invuln. He did good with his hits. He did good with his wounds. And then Sam saved 3 out of the 5 that I put on him. And then he goes and rolls damage for 1, 1, 1. So just miserable. So this turn, I will not get anything for the Ancient Machineries because I didn't score that. However, I will score 2 on the mission tertiary because I do have 2 objectives in No Man's Land. I will score 2 on Purge the Vermin. And I got my first 4 points for the thing where I kill guys. No prisoners, that's it.
Yep.
And now we're going to move over to Sam's turn. All right, finishing off the Space Wolf movement phase. Sam's bringing some more aggression over here on the flank to make sure that these Wraiths are gone at the end of this turn. And we got a little bit of a Librarian companion that's coming out to try to smite the Void Dragon. Hopefully he explodes and just murders a whole bunch of things around there. I would love that. In other news, the Speeders are moving to the back corner to get engage on all fronts for him this turn, and as well pick up some extra points now.
And the Scouts threw up a banner once they disembarked.
Yes, we got a banner over here, and then now that these guys are out of combat, they placed a banner back over here. So now Sam is back to having 3 banners up on the field when he only had 1 at the beginning of the turn. Now, like I had said, Sam, we have a Psyker who's going to try and smite, you said?
Yeah.
Normally, I'd say the chances of this Psyker killing the Void Dragon and getting this smite off would not be in your favor.
However,
this Void Dragon is not having a good day. So there is.
Going to send him back
I think
to
there's
the
an
repair
88%
shop.
chance that you're going to roll an 11 right here. Go ahead.
Oh my
Throw the
God.
dice.
That's only a 5. It does go off. It's a
right.
D3.
D3.
I need all 3 damage. There it is.
Now, because of this, I'm going to see if he explodes.
Oh, absolutely.
And here's going to be the 3.
Oh, my Lord.
You can't even die right, man. All right, so ending the shooting phase. Lost my Scarabs, lost most of my Wraiths, but not all of them. Massive amounts of invulns were made to keep them alive. And then over here, the Nightbringer took his 3, lost a single Scarab base, and that was about it. Lost a lot less in this shooting phase, but I have taken some casualties, so we're probably going to lose that Wraith in combat here, and yeah, we'll see what happens over here when Sam charges in, because I do still have some defense over here, and that Nightbringer is still at 6 wounds. So we'll be back after the fight and charge phase. All right, so the Terminators were able to make it into combat with the Nightbringer. The Nightbringer is currently under a fight last from the Psychic Power, so they're most likely will be able to get the 3 damage out over there. As well, over here, there is a fight. How did you put the fight last?
The Armor of Rust at the beginning of the fight phase. My Wolf Lord says, "Nah, you're good. I'm a Primarch."
And your Wolf Lord also just completed his saga.
He did. He completed a charge.
Okay, and then over here, these jump pack guys,
The Wolf Guard.
the Wolf Guard, were able to also make it into combat with the Scarabs. So we're gonna roll some dice and we'll see how this works out for us in the end. Unsurprisingly, the Wraiths were able to were able to get picked up by the Wolfen that charged in over here. And surprisingly, with a little bit of mystical command point magic, the Scarabs live with 1 wound left. I literally lost them to the wound, and I said, you know what? Let's spend that 1 command point, and rolled it and stuck the 5 to keep them alive.
Power axes with exploding 6s. It's a real thing.
Terminators got picked up by the Nightbringer expectingly after doing the 3 damage and dropping him down to 3. So Sam, talk to me a little bit about your points. What you get on Oath?
All right, on Oath I got 4 because I killed a character, monster, or vehicle. Didn't run from a combat.
And you got the...
And I got a chaplain standing right there telling you just how tough he is in the center. Raise the banners. I did get the 1 point this turn.
Yes.
And then engage on all fronts. I picked up all 4 table quarters yet again.
3 points. All right.
Well, and I got my 3 points for data intercept.
Yes. All right, so let's see. The Necrons are about to try and answer back. All right, so the last of the Necrons have come out to play. We have to move back here. We're not going to be able to do data intercept this turn, but that's okay. I need to clear some stuff out and score some other more reliable points and try and take this guy out with a couple of my characters. Over here, the Catan came over and bashed all the Wolf Guard down to just 1 guy. The Gaze of Death really hit hard this turn. And everyone else is out, and we're going to see how some of the shooting can affect things before we make decisions on where we're going to charge. It's going to matter on if I can pick up these scouts with the spiders and if I can do some damage to these speeders. So the shooting phase was rather uneventful. Not a lot went on. The spiders tried to pick up some of the Wolfen and tried to take out this last lone dude over here and failed really, really bad. Well, okay, it didn't fail really, really bad. It was just saves. Saves for days. So now we go into the fight phase, or charge step, and the Nightbringer is going to have to fight last against this poor speeder over here. And then everyone else charged in. The Wraiths multi-charged and lost 1 in the Overwatch to the Scouts, but they were able to make it into both. The Spiders, phew, man, a massive charge. They were able to charge both the Chaplain and the Scouts, so we'll see where they need to put their attacks.
Keep in mind that the speeder has double exploding 6s because I'm in the Assault Doctrine.
Yeah. And then my characters charge this speeder back here to hopefully blow that one up. So let's we'll see what we get that happens now. All right, so finishing off the Necron turn, the Spiders were able to pick up the Chaplain in the middle because they did not need to even deal with the Scouts. The Wraiths were able to take care of both units wholeheartedly. And the Nightbringer picked up the speeder, as expected. Over here, the Overlord got real close with his War Scythe, but unfortunately was not able to take down the speeder. So that's going to hurt a lot. Most likely, I mean, there is other factors too, but I think that's going to be the point that's going to stop me from a comeback, is not because now I lose the Purge the Vermin points, and that Overlord is in a really close, precarious position.
Because I can shoot into him
if you know what I mean. Probably not because of the wall. Remember that it's an L shape all the way over there. But I mean, the Wolfen don't really care. They're charging it.
No, they give no.
So I did get up to a 7 with no prisoners, and then I get 1 point for Purge the Vermin, and that's going to be it. And we're going to move over into the bottom of 3. All right, Space Wolves moved up. There's not really much for a reason for them to stay back, no veil or anything else. It's time for them to go into Zamboni mode and try and finish me off and clear me off the field. So the Librarian is also trying to get crazy with it. He made the Nightbringer fight last again, but his smite, he failed. So we're going to go into the shooting phase and see how
keep
this...
in mind, my Terminators did advance, but because I got the Saga off, they gain the ability to advance and charge as long as they're within 6 inches of my captain.
Yep. So we will do some shooting first and see what happens. So at the end of the shooting, I actually lost 2 spiders, and magically, I reanimated one. Gotta love that. So not a whole lot of damage. Just that 1 spider that got actually fully removed, and everything else kind of slowed down. I mean, you don't want to pull away so that they can get in on the spiders. So everything else kind of slowed down.
I did get 2 damage on the Nightbringer with this combi.
Right. So that's about it, and we're going to get over into the fight phase. Here is a quick look at everything before, as all the charges that were made.
Skyclaws failed their charges to the Wraith.
Yep. And after. Overlord's back because I spent a command point to bring him back up after he died. And as you can see across the field, there isn't very much left. So we're going to go on over to the Necrons turn, and this may be the final turn because there's not very much else I can do. All right, so we're at the point where it's like, we just got to get wild with it. So we popped that Resurrection Orb. We got 4 Scarabs back, so we got 5 on it now, and we're just gonna get crazy with it and try and do some damage. Mr. Nightbringer is moving up here, and yeah, we got 1 command point. Let's see what we can do with this 1 command point. And sadly, my friends, this is where we will end up calling it the game. The Overlord died valiantly in combat. We were able to beat the Wolfen up with some Scarabs. Scarabs reanimating well, too.
They did.
And we lost the Chronomancer over here. We don't have any resources. The Nightbringer is going to die in the shooting phase. And, I mean, if Sam wants to get really super technical with it, in the GT, if we were playing this in a game, the Wolfen falls back. And I actually know the Wolfen just stands there.
He stands there like a boss.
Bring in a couple more units to just make sure that the guys are finished off and max out. It's probably going to be a solid 100 score. We'll be back. We are going to call the game, and we're going to be back with the final score and the recap on this one. All right, so final score, guys. Space Wolves 99 to the Necrons 36. So at this point, this would be where a lot of people would look at their list and go, all right, I'm not taking it. However, this is a situation where, and everyone can see, this is where Space Wolves are right now. There is, if anyone noticed, you outnumber me in models.
I did, yeah.
Yes, significantly.
And my kill output is through the roof right now.
Now, to be fair, my Void Dragon laid an egg.
He did. He did. It was real sad, too. And then I killed him with a single smite. The only thing I killed all game with mortal wounds.
I needed him to take out the Terminators and start to push on the flank where he was going to.
Absolutely.
So the Nightbringer could continue.
When he whiffed that hard and I got the 3 damage on him, and then I was able to make the charge through the wall there. It was just
sometimes it's going to happen where you have that one point where the scale just really goes in the other direction. Now, before this game, I told Sam, I said, there's something I'm going to try. Because I want to see if it works now. Because a lot of the games, if anyone's noticed on the channel, a lot of games I played very, very cagey and very defensive. And like we talked about after the game, I should have wheeled back to the outside and stayed out of it. And that was obvious. But what I wanted to try was I wanted to see if I could brace the hit off the Necrons with the Necron Warriors. And even though I think I rolled low on the Resurrection with everything onto it, it may not have mattered. It may not have mattered. I may have still lost a little.
My army's putting out 16 shots of grav, 128 possible bolt gun shots around, 34 melta, anywhere from 8 to 14 cyclone missiles, and I can make those all frag. So it wasn't anything you did. It was you didn't get that I had that much shooting, and then it's just numbers.
It is. And also in these scenarios, too, one thing that I often tell people a lot of times when you're playing against an army that you don't know, you can sit down, you can read the books, you can go online, you can see everything you can do.
But until you see it on the table.
Or you can just throw your stuff on the table and go, all right, beat me up. Just beat me up. Show me what happened. And show where it happens. Now, I got the tapes.
You do. You're going to look at it.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah, I know. I feel you.
But and realistically, I'm not changing my army at all.
The only thing I would have done differently in your shoes, and like we almost said off camera, I would have taken different secondaries. Purge is great, but I am a super aggressive army. I'm going to push you as hard as I can. And I've got so many units that it's like they're just jumping out of a clown car.
See, I would still stay on the Purge because I can't do engage. I can't, like, when we looked at it and we got into the no prisoners, I can't get into any of these other battlefield
I
supremacy
understand
rules.
that. The ancient machineries, I think, was a mistake.
So in this mission, ancient machineries ends up usually being a better choice. What I should have done off the ancient machineries, and this goes back into the play, the Necron warrior Veil should have went and hid in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then I would have gotten that first ancient machineries, and then as I come out and possibly lose the Necron warriors, first of all, I didn't have to present all of the squad. So when the squad comes up over here into this piece of terrain, I could have put one guy on there, hit the ancient machineries. On top of that, using the Veil on turn 1 was probably a mistake. Because if I had not used that Veil and I constantly had that
warriors
thing looming,
would have been safe.
And if I had that looming thought of, if you give me space, here I come. Here comes spiders. Here comes Race. Here comes Race deep striking on a +1 charge, coming from behind a wall going, haha, here I am. And now that means that you have to keep units to zone out, which once that Veil pops, it's like, okay, I don't have to zone anything.
Don't forget, I also had the infiltrators here, so it's a 12-inch bubble, and I had the entire back quarter out.
Yes, for objective
also
marker.
There.
Yes, for objective marker 1. But it still makes you think about how.
Oh no, absolutely. There's give and take, and there's play there.
So that was a big part of it. I could have easily. I mean, I could have veiled over onto 2 and been fine. I could have been veiled onto 2 and started moving the game across there.
A lot of it was that Void Dragon just whiffing super hard.
It really was, because he played Gatekeeper to objective marker 2.
Yeah,
and with him playing such a strong Gatekeeper to objective marker 2, that made it impossible for me to hold that objective and be able to then start to dedicate things into other sections, because now I have to put more and more resources at what should be my easy objective.
Oh, absolutely.
And once he just, he shouldn't have dropped that way.
No.
But that's fine. But and then the same deal with Necron Warriors. I didn't have to lose them that quickly. I did, as you said, seeing it on table, seeing the volume of the firepower that the Wolves can put, as well as their combat, to see where that goes. That's where things would change.
We've played before. I hit just as hard as I was before, but now I've got that ranged shooting, which actually fits in lore-wise too, because the Space Wolves, they like to shoot and goad their opponents into getting closer, and then they just hammer on them with chain swords.
Well, but this is also, as we see that Necrons have a lower win rate right now.
Yeah.
This is why.
Absolutely.
Because this is where it gets into it, where you can make it through a lot. Like, I'm able to make it through a lot of armies. But this one's going to take finesse. This one's going to take time to look at. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get you, man. I got this. Because now I need to see that, though. I need to get my butt kicked. It's like everyone's got a plan till they got punched in the face. Now I got punched in the face. Now it's time to reevaluate that plan.
And remember, we do have a data slate coming, so Necrons could get a boost. My Meltas could cost me 5 points apiece, which means I switch to all plasma.
This is true. I don't think it's going to be before Bedlam,
though. You never know, because Dominic is a very interesting man. And he will be like, no, we're using it.
I don't think Necrons will see a buff. I think Necrons had their time. They did, like, if this was old Necron secondaries, this would have been a very boring game.
They may adjust some secondaries back, but you never know what they're going to do.
But like I said, the biggest thing is losing control of objective marker 2 caused the rest of the game to topple. Now, do I think I would have won from that point? No, because on top of it, with me getting too aggressive with the Warriors trying to play this, I tried to build a wall out here, and I wanted to see if it could survive through. Because, like you said, with seeing the firepower, Necron Warriors are kind of in a weird spot. Sometimes they are impossible, and other times they can get killed. Now, I also think I kind of played that bad into it, because even though I made the mistake, I could have still made it back afterwards by just putting more and more guys back here.
Yeah, you kept putting them. You kept putting them closer. I couldn't understand that one.
Protecting the Technomancer, trying to keep the Technomancer alive, because if that Technomancer lives, then a lot more of my units can turn onto a higher power level.
I see. I get it.
So I was trying to keep the Technomancer alive. It was an aggressive play that I wanted to try to see if I could stand into that Marine setting. So now I'm going to take that data and I'm hunting for another Marine player. I'm going to play another Marine player and see where I look into that. But I can't play just anyway. It's got to be something like wolves, salamanders, something that's coming at me, an army that's going to be pushing.
You know, I have a friend of mine that plays World Eaters.
Yeah, but he just has some. We just got to get the schedules to sync up. He sleeps too much.
Sleep. Yeah,
sleeps for the week.
DJ, as always, thank you.
He knows who I'm talking to. Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, this was what I want to see, and when tournament time comes, I got you. You got to.
I'll see you
guys. Thanks again for watching. This one will hopefully be a lot shorter video too. Guys, thanks again for watching, and we'll hope to talk to you again soon.
Take care.